Hi there! In this video, we'll be talking about creating rules from graphs and tables. Let's go ahead and get started. In our first example, our directions are to graph the data from the table and then find the rule. If we look at what we have a blank graph and then we have a table that we have some data points for and others that are missing information. So in order to find the rule, the very first thing we need to do is to go ahead and graph the information that we have. And as a reminder, our input is our x value and our output is our y value. The x axis is horizontal and the y value is vertical. So when we have our coordinates, a reminder that our coordinates look something like this. The x value first, followed by the y value. So we can graph our points that we have information for. Let's go ahead and do that now. 0, 3, 1, 4. I don't have information for this one, so I'll come back to it. 3, 6. I'm missing the output when the input is 4, so I'll come back to it. And then 5, 8. Great, so we have graphed the information that we know. The next thing we can do is see if we can figure out a rule. Now, a rule is bossy. It tells the numbers what to do. Specifically, when you input a number, we're going to be using a rule to get a certain number out, or the output. I need to check a couple of data points that I have to make sure a rule works for the entire table. I'm just going to start with the first information that I have, which is 0 and 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask myself, and I'm going to erase this so I have some room to work here. When I input a number 0, I'm going to get out a number 3. And how do I get a number 3 from a number 0? Well, one of the things I could do is I could add 3, and that would be a rule. It's bossy. So my suspected rule here is 0 plus 3 is equal to 3, or my rule would be plus 3. Let's see if it works for another data set. Let's try if I input 1, will I get out a 4 using my suspected rule of plus 3? Indeed I do. Let's check it for another one. It's important to check it for several data points on your table to make sure it works for everything. The input is 3, the output is 6. My suspected rule is plus 3. Indeed it works. And we'll check down here. And indeed it also works for an input of 5. We get out an 8. Great. Great, so we can see that our rule here is an input plus 3 is going to give us y. So now we can figure out our other data points. If we input, I'm going to switch colors here. If we input a 2 and use our rule of plus 3, we will get out a 5. So that means a 5 goes in for our output. And then next, if we input a 4 and add 3, we will get out a 7. And now we can graph those points that we were missing before. So we have changed colors here, 2, 5, and 4, 7. And we have figured out a rule and graphed it using data from the table.